Hey guys, it's Katie here with Life the Mundane. Today we are going to be talking about how to homeschool multiple ages of kids at one time. I know it can be a little bit tricky, but I've got a few tricks up my sleeve that I would love to share with you guys. And trust me, a few of these are really out of the box, so I'm hoping that they will help you and be something brand new for you. So let's get started. The first thing is I was homeschooled myself, and I was the oldest of 7 kids. So I definitely grew up and got to see how it worked as far as managing homeschooling several kids. I now have 6 kids myself. I homeschool 4 of them. The other 2 are not officially homeschooled age, but trust me, they are big enough to be into everything, so they fit into our schedule as well and definitely count as one of our 6 that we are homeschooling. So I have plenty of experience in this area, and I'm excited to share a few of the tips that work for us, for you guys. If this works for you, great. If not, don't stress. Use what's helpful and pass on the rest, okay? But we are going to start out with just a really fast tip of combining subjects. I know that's not a new concept. I actually considered not even including it in the video because I feel like a lot of people already know, but after talking to several friends, I realized that it's not as widely known as I thought it was. But one thing when you have a lot of kids that you are homeschooling at one time is to combine as many subjects as possible. So typically in our family, that's going to look like Bible, history, science, geography, social studies, anything like that that's not super based on grade level. We are going to combine those to do all together. The reasons for this are simple. 1, it's easier to manage. You can dive deeper into subjects because you have more time altogether, and you get a lot of those subjects are better when you have discussion, interaction, hands-on activities and projects. Doing that with one kid over and over and over again is not going to be as beneficial as doing that in a group setting. So I love doing those subjects all together. If you guys want to see what we're doing for those subjects, be sure to check out in the iCards above to see what curriculum we chose for this year that we enjoy doing as a group and have found that works really well for us. But we also enjoy doing it as a group because you can base it off the child's age. So we can do science, we can read the same textbook, whether we're in kindergarten or 6th grade, and we can do that, but then we can break out and have different assignments based on that. Maybe the kindergartner's only going to listen to the textbook, where the 3rd grader is going to do a special science experiment on this with the group, but they're going to kind of lead that group thing. And then maybe the 6th grader is going to write a detailed book report, or maybe they're going to do a special research project to dig a little deeper into the subject at hand. The point is, there are so many different ways that you can make this work for your family and are super beneficial. So if you aren't doing that already, I highly, highly recommend grouping as many subjects as possible together. And so that way it also allows you to spend more time one-on-one with your kids working on the subjects that matter a little bit more when it comes to that one-on-one attention, which is usually math and reading, language arts, that kind of thing. So tip number 2, I find it's really, really important to actually know what your kids need to be doing during their downtime. When you're homeschooling a lot of kids, there is inevitably going to be downtime. Someone's computer is not going to be working, they're waiting on mom, she's teaching another child, or someone just finishes early or starts late, whatever it is, you're going to get off sync. It's just going to happen. No matter how well you write that grid schedule, it is going to happen. Your child needs to know what is expected of them during that downtime. Because if you don't specify that and set up that expectation, that kid's gonna be out the door in no time. They're gonna go watch TV or play in the room or go bug another sibling, whatever it is, but it's gonna be off task and oftentimes frustrating for you and that child as you try to pull them back to whatever task that you had for them to do. So I highly recommend having just a basic plan of what to do when your kid is waiting for you or is waiting for the next thing, the computer to be done or the textbook or whatever it is. So if you guys have seen my video in the past, I did one on sort of a busy bag pouch for older kids, for elementary age kids. And basically the idea with this is that they're easy hands-on activities that the kids can do 100% independently that reinforce things they're either struggling with or that they could just use a little more practice on. And those are available to them in their drawers. I'm not going to get into all of that because I did an entire video on it, and I will link that up above for you guys to check out. But that is one way that you could do that. It could also be as simple as, hey, when you have downtime, You have your book that you have, we have our kids try to read for 20 minutes a day independently as well as out loud to mom. And so maybe they're going to read their book until you're ready for them. Or maybe it's going to be that they know that there are these few toys, that there is educational toys that are in the school area that they can go and grab and play with during this time while they're waiting on mom, that are quiet and not messy. Whatever it is, just know what you expect of them and teach them and train them on what's expected of them during that downtime. It will help reduce so much frustration, I promise. The third tip is probably my favorite and has been a huge, huge lifesaver, and this is to digitize as much as possible. I'm talking about just using basic resources like a phone or a tablet or your computer to help you double your efforts. And let me explain how you're going to do that. So with things like flashcards, or maybe concepts that your kids need to frequently review, but you can't sit down and just duplicate that over and over and over again. I like to record myself teaching that concept or reviewing that concept or going through those flashcards on camera, just on my cell phone, and I have my kids sit down and watch those. So that might be one of the activities they work on while they're waiting on you. But they can go through and they can review those concepts. They can hear it straight from your mouth. You know it's consistent and constant information that they're getting the same every time. And they are getting that information without you having to sit down with each one of the 6 of them or however many there are. So I love to do this as a resource, especially when they're struggling with a particular concept. And this may not be that they watch this video every single day for, the entire school year, but maybe every day for that week, they're gonna watch that video. The other thing that we like to use is an app called Evernote. Evernote is an app that you can make kind of any notes that you want, but you can also do audio notes there and record your voice reading something out loud, and then your kids can play it back. So we actually do this in a couple different subjects. We do this with our Bible. If you guys have seen our video on how we handle our Bible for the kids, for those who are not old enough or who struggle with reading still, I actually record their Bible readings that they're supposed to listen to every day for their personal devotions. I record myself reading it once because all the kids are doing the same thing. I record myself reading it once. Then they can put on the headphones, listen to it, and then answer their one question. I also ask the question that is in the book, and they can write their answer down to it. This also means that for my kids who maybe need to listen to it a couple of times, they can do it a couple of times instead of me having to read it out loud 5 or 10 or 15 times. Then we also use it for our spelling. So I will go through and I will read out their spelling list. I'll record that at the end of the week or the beginning of the week. I will record that spelling list and I'll say, number 1, cat, and I'll pause. Number 2, bat, and I'll pause. And they can obviously pause it after I've said it as well to give them time to write. The way they do it is they listen to it on their device with their headphones on. They'll pause it, they'll write it out, they'll go through the whole list that way, and then at the end of the list, I've got a second track, and that track has the answers to it. So it says cat, C-A-T, and they're going to check their own work, and if they didn't get it right, they can correct that and fix it, and they're going to continue to do this all throughout the week. The nice thing about this is I teach the concepts on Monday. We use All About Spelling, and so I'll teach the concepts on Monday or whenever we're ready for a new step. And I will teach those concepts, but then they will listen to this audio recording and do this exercise. I can also do dictation sentences. I can mix up the order, however I want to do it. They're doing it consistently every single day. And then we test on it in person on Friday. And so I will have them take it. So I will still see them. I am not leaving them completely on their own for this. I don't recommend that. That will just end up with a lot of frustration and probably failures in the long run. But it allows them to work on their spelling and work on practicing things somewhat independently when they're maybe not to the age where they can typically do that independently. So don't be afraid to use these free resources as a tool for you. You can also do reading books to your kids on audio or on video. Again, we're not talking about replacing physical contact with mom. That is not at all what I am saying. Please don't hear that. I sit down with every single one of my kids every single day and I have one-on-one time with them. But there are times when I can't be everywhere at once. So this just allows, in some of the areas that I don't feel like are as crucial for me to be there, it allows me the freedom to be able to do that with them, especially when it comes to reading. I really, really like to be 100% there, focused on them during their reading time because we do have several struggling readers. So because of that, I want to be able to be there for them, and so I need them to be able to have some things they can do independently. The fourth tip is to just be careful when choosing curriculum. Think through, how much time is this really going to take? Maybe there's a super awesome curriculum out there that all your mom friends love, and you honestly would love it too, but it's really hands-on, or it requires a ton of teacher instruction. Maybe it's not the best fit for you. And maybe you just need to pass on it for this season until your kids can be more independent and not need you as much. For our kids, for the older kids, we actually use Teaching Textbooks curriculum, which is a computer program that teaches them the concepts. It asks them the questions, it grades it, and it corrects it. So when they get something wrong, they can actually watch a video of how to do it correctly. I've also done a video on this that shares a lot more about how do we handle this. Again, you don't want it to be 100% independent, or you're going to end up frustrated and they're not going to gain the concepts. You're not going to realize when they're struggling. So I share kind of how do we handle that with our kids and how have we made that work for us. But that is a great solution out there for them. We also use other math curriculums for my younger ones. And so there are so many great options out there. But just think through, how much teacher-intensive instruction are you going to want? And again, what matters the most to you and your family? For me, that reading, like I said, because we have struggling readers, it's really important that that program is on point. So we use All About Reading, which is very teacher-intensive. There is no getting around the teacher-intensive part of All About Reading. But it works. And it's important. If they can learn how to read, they can learn anything they want. It's okay if they have some holes in history or science, because they can read it later as they get older and they get stronger at reading. So just choose, where do you want your time? It's okay to pick teacher-intensive programs, but make sure you know that it's one that matters to you personally and to your family and your values. The fifth and final tip for you guys is have the older kids help with younger kids. This is a really, really good instruction. And for those who think, oh, you're just pushing off, you're just making your older kids do your work, that is not at all what we're talking about here. Again, I am still their primary teacher, and I do almost all the teaching. But I like to find ways that the older kids can help review skills with the younger kids. And it's not just to benefit the younger kids. It actually is a huge benefit to the older kids, because they're reviewing concepts that they've already learned, keeping it fresh in their mind. Sometimes they need the refresher just as much as the little kids do. And it's a great way to build that sibling-to-sibling bond. Now, again, be careful about what you pass off. You don't want to pass off really, really important things. As you probably saw in my interview with my mom, as a veteran homeschooler, I was talking to her. She's a homeschool mom of 22 years that homeschooled and graduated 7 children. And she talked about how she kind of put off some of the multiplication review. And because that was something that none of us enjoyed, it kind of fell by the wayside. So make sure kids are actually doing it. Make sure, and that was something that she kind of regretted, passing off that particular subject. But this is a great way to get your kids to interact. One of my kids has a curriculum that is very game intensive. It actually has a lot of games to review. She has some special needs, and she needs that memory review over and over and over and over again. And so what I love about it is we can make the games, we can play them till she knows how to do it. And then I can ask one of the older kids during some of their downtime, hey, can you play this game with her and practice? And again, it practices both of their skills, builds that bonding relationship. And sometimes the younger kids hear it better from their older siblings than they do from mom, for whatever reason. This is exactly what we talk about here on this channel, and that is strategies and systems on how to make your life easier, how to simplify your life so that you can get back to those little mundane moments, enjoying them, fulfilling God's calling for your life. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please take a second to give a thumbs up, comment down below. I would love to see you guys next time. Bye.